Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be doing my 25 for 2025. Absolutely crazy that it's almost 2025 at this point. Currently the Monday the 23rd of December. Not only when I'm filming this but also when you're seeing this. Day 11 of my 12 days of bookmas. I try to do it on even days and then work and everything, but anyway, I have a list of the 25 books that I hope to get to. I know I said this last year, but I feel pretty confident about this year's. I think at the moment, in terms of what I've read or what I've not read of last year's, I think I have about 10 books that I've not read. I am hoping that in the last week, like between like Christmas and New Year, to kind of knock out a few of those books. And then once Christmas Day comes, I'm not really going to want to read Christmas books. I do have the odd one though, that I could get to. But yeah, I need to stop rambling. So the first book, I've got my laptop in front of me. The first book is The Nightingale by Kristen Hannah. I don't have the books in front of me because most of these are back at home. Some of these I don't own yet. Yeah, so the Nightingale I do own. It's back at home. This is a historical fiction based off of two sisters set in World War II. I think it's World War II, and it's like their experience of the war and how it's like different views. And yeah, the next book is Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. This has been on at least one TBR this past year, and I just haven't got to it. I'm really excited to get to it. I have way too many books, which is quite funny for saying that technically I don't own some of these books, and I'm being like, yeah. Then the next book is 11/22/63 by Stephen King. The only book by Stephen King that I've read so far is Carrie. I do own Fairy Tale, and I own something else by him, I think, as well. Or maybe not. I know I own Fairy Tale, which is like sort of grim-esque, like not as grim, but like a darker fantasy using lots of different like fairy tales and everything. Also, Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies, if you haven't heard of it, is like a cozy fantasy following Emily, who's making an encyclopedia of fairies. Yeah. Then the fourth book is Murtagh by Christopher Paolini. This is the fifth book in the Inheritance Cycle series. Well, it's technically not part of that series. It's like a tiny little like spin-off. From the sounds of it, it's going to be a duet. I have read books 1 to 4. I do want to reread those books before I get to Murtagh though, because I know that there's going to be a lot that I don't remember from the books. These are YA fantasies. I don't know what age rating Murtagh is, but that's what the age rating for like Eragon and that books were, so I'm presuming it's going to be around that. It might be closer to like new adult, just because obviously they will have grown, and not only that, but when Christopher wrote Eragon, he was 15, so obviously he's done a lot of growing in himself. But yeah, the next book is Funny Story by Emily Henry. I don't own this book yet because it's not out in paperback. I presume it's going to be out in paperback at some point in this year. I know that it came out in hardback, I think it was around June time, so I'm expecting around like up to like August for it to go into like paperback, and because I own all her other books in paperback, so obviously I want to own the paperback of Funny Story as well. I do need to read Book Lovers. That's her one book that I own that I haven't yet read. But yeah. Then the next book is Storied Life of AJ Thickery. This is like a shorter book. It follows AJ, and then I know there's a kid in it, but I'm not too sure. I know that a lot of people have read it and enjoyed it. and and this is by Gabrielle Zevin, who wrote Tomorrow, Tomorrow, Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow, which I enjoyed. I think I rated it a 4.25, because it was kind of a type of book where it was both a 3.5 and like a 5 at the same time. So I settled in the middle at a 4.25, which I think overall I'm like quite happy on. But yeah. The next book is Serpent and the Wings of Night by, I can't remember who. I have just been meaning to get to this book. I bought it I think I bought it in like the second half of this year, or like around the summertime. This is a fantasy following like vampires, and it's like Hunger Game trials or something. I know it's like vampires and like trials. That's kind of all I know. Then the next book is Serpent and Dove. This is a witch and a witch hunter. And I don't know too much else. I know that Emmy liked Serpent and Dove and I picked it up recently, but I don't know too much else. The next book is Crimson Moth. This comes out in paperback in January, like end of January. So although in saying that, I'm still kind of considering, do I want to buy it in hardback? I think I'd need to see the paperback version in order to be like, do I get this in paperback or hardback? Because with Murtagh, when that so that's not yet out in paperback, but it comes out end of January, so I know that I'm going to get that in paperback because I've got the Inheritance Cycle in paperback, so obviously it makes sense. But I'm still in two minds as to whether to get Crimson Moth in paperback or hardback. But yeah. Then the next book is Six of Crows. This is a book that obviously everyone and their mum has read. I know it follows 6 like teenagers and like a heist, and I do own the second book because I'd made sure to buy the second book, which is Crooked Kingdom, which I bought because I want, just in case the works like stop selling it, although I think they still sell it. But yeah. The next book is Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. I've literally owned this for years, like genuinely before university. I think I've owned this for like 5 years. I got it in hardback, and I need to get to it. I think I once gave an attempt to it, but obviously the start is quite slow, so I think that's why I struggled to get into it. But kind of knowing that it's like a slower paced book, I'll kind of know to like continue on with it, and that's kind of, and like to give myself time to get into the book. But yeah, the next book is Lightlark by Alex Astor. I do also own Night Vane, which is book 2. I know that Emily enjoys book 1 and 2, not so much book 3 that's just come out, but I picked up Lightlark because of that, and I'm excited to get to it. This is every 100 years the island of Lightlark like appears, and like 6 rulers or some, like there's rulers that come together to trying to break their curse, because it like their curse hurts their people, but that in order someone has to die and whatnot, that kind of situation, and there's obviously a romance. Yeah. Then the next book is Binding 13. This is quite intimidating. It's 800 pages, but that's just the first book of the first couple, because there's another 800 pages, so it's quite intimidating. And I know that there's a lot of heavy topics, so I know it's not going to be like an easy read, but at the same time, so many people have read them, so I think I need to give book 1 a chance. I don't own it physically, but I do have the Kindle version, so I'm planning to, because I think for me that feels like the best way to do it, and also because then if I don't like the first book, at least then that way I won't have splurged out on the series, because it's a lot. Like there's what, is it 5 books out at the moment? Yeah. Then the next book is Mile High. I know that Mile High is a book that not many people enjoy, but then like the second book picks up. Again, I own this in Kindle version, and I intend to read it via Kindle. Again, just because then if I don't like, I also have like books 2 on Kindle as well. Like I have all of the Binding 13 in that series, like the books of Tommen, Boys of Tommen, sorry. I have all of those books on Kindle, and but I only bought them for like 99p, so I didn't pay too much for them. So if I don't like them, I've only really wasted the price of one book. And I've done the same with the Mile High series as well. But yeah. Then the next book, both of those are like romances. Obviously Binding 13, again, like I said, has a lot of heavy topics, and like themes, and is quite like a YA type situation, but with heavy themes. Well, YA, new adult, and then Mile High is like sports romances. Then the next book is The Prison Healer. This is a fantasy where there's a healer who is a prisoner, and basically she takes the place of someone to try and win like her freedom, I think it is. Yeah, I own book 2 as well, but this book keeps looking at me and I just need to read it. The next book is Iron Flame by Rebecca Yarros. I read Fourth Ring, the paperback, like the traditional paperback, like the mass market paperback has just come out for Iron Flame. I do also own the trade paperback. I think I'm going to read it via trade paperback just because that's how I read Fourth Wing. But I kind of wanted to own both copies. Yeah. And I know that Onyx Storm comes out next month. So I think there's a lot of releases coming out on the 25th. Maybe I should make a video of my anticipated releases. You know what? Maybe I will do that. I was planning on doing like a mood read, and I might still film that, but maybe I'll do my anticipated releases instead. That could be fun. Also would make it easier for me to edit. Anyway, the next book is Fearless by Lauren Roberts. This is the final book in the Powerless trilogy. I say final book, but I don't know why. Don't hate me, but I feel like unless Mac is mentioned in Fearless, I feel like there's going to be another novella. Like, she's not going to leave this world. There's going to be like a novella, like a Christmas novella or something like next year. I don't know. I feel like there's something. Like, I feel like she's not quite finished with it, even though it's supposed to be a trilogy. I don't know. I feel, yeah, I feel like that's what's going to end up happening. But I enjoyed book 1, rated that 5 stars. I think I rated book 2 of 4 stars, but that was more because of the characters than the actual plots, because the plot was lacking. And then I'm excited for book 3 because obviously there's going to be a lot happening. I will be disappointed if it's only like 400 pages. Like, I think book 3 needs to be a 500-page book or more, in order for it to fully do what it needs to do, while still having like bantery moments and like plot and tension and all of that good stuff that we enjoyed in like book 1. Because we enjoyed the banter of book 2, but book 1 had the good plot. Like, there was little bits of plot throughout book 2, especially towards the end, which obviously very much leads up to what book 3 and like that conflict is. But yeah. Then the next book is The Invocations. I can't remember the author's name. No, it's escaped me. This is, I think is it like a young adult horror or it's gothic something. But it's like, and I know that Georgia, the Aussie YouTuber Rachel's friend, enjoyed the invocations. I think Rachel did as well, or I don't know if she did, but they read it for their like book club. And I know that they've read it, like enjoyed it, and I want to read that book. It sounds so interesting. I do have House of Hollows on Kindle, which is the other book, Crystal Sutherland or Krista Sutherland. It's something like that. So I could also read that if I wanted to. The next book on my list is A Tempest of Tea. Now, there's a high chance that I'll get this for Christmas because it was on my Christmas list. If not, I'll pick it up in my own time. I've heard a lot of things about it. Well, actually, have I? I've seen a lot of people read it. It just looks interesting. I think it's like a fantasy. I don't know whether it's not cozy fantasy, but I don't think it's like high fantasy. It's like that middle range, I think. I'm not too sure about A Tempest of Tea. I just know that the plot sounds interesting. And there might be like a secret society type situation. I'm not too sure. Then the next book is Out on a Limb by Hannah Bonham Young. I own Next of Kin and also, is it Next to You or something? No, Next of Kin and something else. I was picking, like, I knew I wanted to put one of those on, and I picked Out on a Limb because I know that so many people love it, even when it's got the trope that they don't enjoy, because there is the surprise pregnancy trope, which is very much like mentioned throughout, like I think in the blurb as well. And I just know that so many people love Bo, and I'm just, yeah, I'm interested in reading it. The next book is The Ministry of Time by, is it Kayleigh something, or I can't remember the author's name. Like it's like Kayleigh Bradley or something. I don't know. But this is like a sci-fi where they bring someone from the past, like just before their death, into like the new world to like see what these like smart people, like inventors, can do when brought into like the modern world with like new technology and all of that. I know that there's got like mixed ratings. Some people love it, some people don't. I'm curious to see where I stand. Part of me thinks I'll probably just be like in the middle. Like it'll be like a 3.5 or something, which isn't a bad rating, but obviously it's where like stuff lacks. But yeah. Then the next book is A Dawn of Onyx. This is a fantasy. I don't know too much about it. I think towards the end I was kind of struggling because I like 1 to 20 or something like that was quite easy, and then after that I'm like, okay, so what books do I own? And I own like 200, so I really should know, but I kind of don't want to do some of like the just bought books. Obviously some of these are not even bought, but I also try to pick like a range of like genres, so there's like a chance that I'll actually get to them. I don't know too much about A Dawn of Onyx. I know it's a fantasy. That's kind of all I know at the moment. Then the next book is Scythe by Neil Shusterman. This is a sci-fi where basically people can't die, but there's scythes, which are basically grim reapers, and they go around like killing people like when it's like their end, and basically they're then told one of you has to kill the other, and that's kind of the plot. I think it was on my November TBR, and I didn't get to it, and I knew that I wouldn't get to it this month, hence why it's just gone on my 25 for 2025. Then the next book is The Examiner by Janice Hallett. I picked this up at the airport on my way to Lanzarote, and I've just heard a lot of good stuff about Janice and her writing from like Meg. The book is very much mixed media. I do own her book, The Christmas Appeal. I plan to read it tonight. It's literally a short novella, but to give, like, this has got like email exchanges, like just like cast lists and whatnot, like proper mixed media, and like text messages and that, like, you know how in like Flawless you get like at the start of chapters you've just got like the little text message exchanges. There's so much mixed media, and I think even if I don't enjoy this, I think I'd still give The Examiner a go, because obviously sometimes novellas just don't hit the same as what like full-length books do. And then the final book is Lost and Lassoed by Lila Sage. I haven't even read Swift and Saddled. I did read Done and Dusted. I rated that at 5 stars. Like, I loved it so much. Like, there was a little less spice than what's in like the Chestnut Spring series, and I think that's what worked better for me, because sometimes in the Chestnut Spring series what has lowered my rating has been that there's been like a little bit too much spice, or it's been like a little bit crude or whatnot, whereas in Done and Dusted it was just perfect for me. Like, it was like the maximum of what like I enjoyed without it getting too much. But I'm excited for Teddy and Gus's story, because obviously we fully know that Teddy is very much Willa, and then I don't know who Gus reminds me of, but Teddy is very much Willa. And my favourite 2 books in the Chestnut Spring series was Heartless and Reckless. Reckless being Heartless being Willa and Cade, and Reckless being Theo and Winter. And obviously Winter is the one with like that little bit of like attitude, and so it's really fun to read about. And then even in the Gold Rush Ranch series, the main female character, what was her name? Billy in the Gold Rush Ranch series is she's the one with like not the attitude, but like the feistiness, and that's just really fun to read in books. I don't even own Lost and Lassoed. I haven't seen it in shops anywhere. Like, I was expecting to see it in the works, because I picked up Swift and Saddled and Done and Dusted from the works, but it wasn't. So I might actually have to pay full price for it. Oh well. I'll obviously read Swift and Saddled first, but I didn't want to put Swift and Saddled on in case I read it just before the end of the year. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what books are in your 25 for 2025, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.